if you come to a place and you insult them, is that the best way to become the president of the United States?
Well, let's ask Senator Ben Cardin himself.
Well,
he joins us right now.
He's on the line now.
We were just
Okay.
recalling your exchange with the Donald there, Senator Cardin.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, you got into it with the Donald a little bit.
I got in with. I'm sorry.
With Donald Trump.
Oh, yes. I can't believe the way that he insulted our city.
Well,
I mean, the energy in Baltimore, and then he talked about us specifically. My goodness.
Setting aside the issue, I think it was out of line to say the city has no spirit. But he did make a point that one way to solve the problems in Baltimore is jobs. And let's face it, I mean, every politician who has had any control over that city for the last several decades belongs to the opposite party of Donald Trump. So what about that aspect of it? Is it really insulting to say Baltimore needs jobs?
Well, first of all, there are different levels of government that help to create jobs for the people of Baltimore from the point of view of their policies. So it's not restricted to Baltimore City alone. Baltimore City is still the economic hub of the state of Maryland. When you take a look at the economic growth of our state, Baltimore City is where many of the activities will take place. We need more jobs. There's no question about that. The state of Maryland has been pretty progressive in job growth. So the spirit of Baltimore is a city that helped defend this country, saved us in the War of 1812, has the incredible spirit that you see from our sports teams to our industries. So this is a great city. What happened to Baltimore could have happened in any city, and it hurt us deeply, and we know that. We have great opportunities in our city. What we do need is more opportunities. There's no question about it.
I want to turn to the federal workers who are going through quite a troubled time right now as a result of this hack of the records over at the Office of Personnel Management. Now, we first told 4 million. Then we were told, well, maybe 8 million. Now, officially, I think the number is 18 million people have been had their records seized by these hackers. Some private estimates suggest it's much higher than that, maybe 30 million people. What do you say to the federal workers who are beginning to complain here and elsewhere that, we're not particularly pleased with the way OPM is responding to the fact that they lost our data?
Well, cyber attacks and invasion of private records by cyber actors is happening every day, and it's outrageous. We've all seen the amount of identity theft. It's the largest single crime in America. I don't think any of us don't know people who have been victimized by identity theft. So hackers are very efficient, not only in government systems, but in private systems, big companies. This is outrageous. This is very, very dangerous to our country. What makes it even more troubling is that there are signs that governments themselves may be behind these type of attacks on American privacy. This cannot continue. It's got to end. Everyone who was compromised needs to know it. The American people need to know the number of people involved and how this happened and what steps we're taking to make sure it will never happen again and how we're protecting those people who have been compromised.
I understand all that, but I mean, if it was the Chinese, I mean, you said on key committees here, if it was the Chinese, what should be done?
Well, there are many steps that need to be done. I mean, the first step is we need to know the extent of what happened. We need to know how it happened. We need to be able to make sure that we protect against these types of attacks. There are many options we have in dealing with the people who have perpetrated this crime against Americans. We're not going to announce the way that we will respond. If governments are involved, there are steps we can take and we need to take. But again, we're not going to announce our steps.
Senator Cardin, one other aspect of your position as ranking member of the Foreign Relations Committee has to do with this Iranian deal. We're now getting reports from the Associated Press that the Supreme Leader Khamenei is offering an ultimatum. Either you lift these sanctions at the beginning of this process as soon as we reach our agreement, which is, I think, a far cry from what the president has indicated, that the sanctions will only be lifted once we verify that they've complied with whatever provisions they agree to. The Supreme Leader says, lift those sanctions at the beginning or there's no deal. That sounds like an ultimatum. So is it time for us to just stand up and walk away?
We'll know that in the next few days. There's no question we'll know whether we can reach an agreement or we cannot reach an agreement. Our negotiators are at the final negotiating sessions. I think it's pretty clear the parameters in which we're negotiating. At the end of the day, we need to know that Iran is giving up its nuclear ambition to become a nuclear weapon state. We won't trust whatever they say, so the agreement has to provide ample time and ample opportunities for us to inspect and verify, so that if they are not complying with an agreement, we can take steps to prevent them from becoming a nuclear weapon state.
But Khamenei,
can be judged.
Khamenei has said that research and development must continue during the years of restriction. Isn't that a deal killer? The killer right there?
It's not what the Supreme Leader says. It's what's in the agreement and how the agreements are enforced and the verification and inspection regimes. That's going to be the critical factors. We do not expect the Iranians for local consumption to say, they say things. We're not too concerned about what they say. We're concerned about what the agreements say and how they're going to be enforced and how we're going to have the inspection and verification regimes.
Right.
That will be documented in writing and confirmed by actions we believe, including a UN resolution. So it will be pretty clear what the responsibilities of Iran will be and the consequences if they violate those commitments, not what the Supreme Leader says.
Senator Ben Cardin, thanks for joining us today. And next time you get into a scuffle with Donald Trump, bring it on the air here. We can do a whole thing.
I tell you?
I think you might be a little jealous of his hair.
Oh!
I'm telling you, this is a great country we live in that Donald Trump can get the type of attention running for president. But that's what America's about.
It is. And to be fair, I think if you take that thing off his head, his hair looks pretty much like yours, Senator. Let's face it. Thanks for joining.
I'm much better looking.
Thanks, Senator.